Hello, BookTube. There's a subject that has been roiling its way through BookTube and through the larger bookosphere in the last couple of weeks. I'm sure you've seen a million videos on it. I've seen a million videos on it, and I have not been prompted to make a video of my own because the subject doesn't really touch on me that directly as you might think it would. But I have been moved to join in the communal discussion about Amazon changing a feature on your Kindle. This came to light, I believe, certainly the first person to really explode this subject was Ollie at Criminali, and then a whole bunch of channels suddenly realized, oh my, he's right, and researched it themselves and did a whole bunch of other videos. And the long and the short of that story, for those of you who maybe don't know it, is that Amazon announced very quietly in the fine print, they did not make a big deal out of it because, of course, it looks bad for them, that one of the features that it has always existed in their ebook ecosystem is going away. It was going away at the end of February. February 26th, I think, was the last day that you could do it. And that is that when you open up your laptop and go to your Amazon account, you can see a list of all the books that you have downloaded. And you also had the ability to download them again to your laptop. An obvious courtesy, you paid for this thing, you should be able to have it regardless of whether or not you're on your account. It's yours. So you should be able to have it on your desktop. And forever and ever, for years and years, that Kindle owners were able to do that. And Amazon quietly announced that they were removing that. And this led to, first of all, a ton of announcement videos warning people about that, spreading the word, which is great. I love that about the bookish community here on YouTube, is that we look out for each other. But also a ton of videos bemoaning that, bedeviling that, repeating that idiotic phrase that I'm sure you've heard a million times in the last 2 weeks: you will own nothing and you will like it. Talking about ownership culture and how, it led to enormously renewed discussions of DRM, digital rights management, and the coding that's put on ebooks in order to make them what they are. Tons and tons of channels reminding everybody out there, customers of Amazon and other ebook vendors, that when you hit buy, that button buy, you're not buying the book, you're leasing it. You're buying the license to it, which allows your eyes to be on it, and every once in a while, under very limited circumstances, maybe sharing it with somebody for a limited amount of time. But it doesn't allow you full ownership. And sometimes people need to be reminded of that, especially if they've gone through a Kindle girly summer. They need to be reminded of the limitations of what they're dealing with. That if you buy an ebook from Amazon, not only, first of all, obviously is that ebook egregiously overpriced. It should be $2. No matter what it is, it should be $2. But also, it's not yours in the sense of if you were to buy a book at a bookstore. If you buy a book at a bookstore, you can take it home. You can keep it as long as you live, same as with an ebook. You can annotate it to your heart's content, same as with an ebook. But you can also sell it to somebody else or give it away to somebody else. And you can't do that with a DRM protected book file. So it's locked into Amazon's system to a certain degree. The ability to download those files onto your own laptop was a little bit of leeway when it came to limitations like that, and Amazon removed that limitation. They removed that leeway. So you don't have the ability to do that anymore. So now, if you want to read your Amazon library, you have to read it in your Amazon library. You have to read it not necessarily on an Amazon device, but certainly it's more thoroughly connected to what Amazon wants instead of what you want. So that led to a spate of videos, and I watched them all. I thought they were all fascinating. I don't have much of a dog in this fight, at least not at this stage in the game, because almost all the ebooks that I have on my device are sideloaded. Either, from people who've sent me files, or from publishers who send me the ebook file of, some upcoming release, usually a PDF, which is another story for another video. These types of e-readers don't tend to play well with PDFs, but it is possible to do. I've read entire books in PDF on my phone, on the Amazon app on my phone. That is a common thing. Publicists will just routinely say, well, I have the book for you. I can get you an unbound galley in a few days. I can get you a bound galley in a week. The finished copies will be available, in the springtime. And I can also, of course, send you an ebook right away. I get the feeling from the wording of publicist emails that they don't get a lot of takers for that. But I automatically say yes. I, for years and years, said no. Now I automatically say yes. But that composes the bulk of my library of e-reading, is that kind of thing. So the one kind of e-reading that I do the least, I can't even remember the last time I did, is the kind of reading that I think most people do the most, which is to go to Amazon, browse for something, either at random or something you're looking for, find it, and hit buy. The book is instantly downloaded to your device, and there it is. But when you do that, you have entered into the subject that has come up in all of those videos in the last 2 weeks. You have bought a book from Amazon that you cannot download to your laptop, that you cannot own in any way except to open up your Amazon account and read it, preferably on an Amazon device. That is the kind of ebook reading, ebook buying that I almost never do. I can't remember the last time I did anything like that. I sign up for those ebook daily deal sites. All of those have for pay options, 99 cents, $2.99, $1.99, but they also have free books. And I sign up for a lot of them that are only free books. Well, okay, if you offer me a free ebook, it'll be an indie book. I'm incredibly interested in what's going on in indie circles. I want to know who's good out there. There's a common misconception that indie publishing is, especially indie ebook publishing, is where all the bad authors go. I can tell you as a matter of fact, nobody knows the current mainstream publisher new release market better than I do. I can tell you as a matter of fact that the ratio of crap to good authors is the same. It doesn't matter that it's indie or that it was come out by Random House. The ratio of good to crap is the same. And I'm hungry for really good writers, same as you are, same as anybody is. That feeling of encountering a writer who's just terrific, I want to find that. So for those daily deal ebook sites, well, I click yes to everything that's free. I don't buy anything on them, not even 99 cents. I don't buy any of them. Don't buy anything like that. Not only because that is a good way to nickel and dime yourself into spending a lot of money on books that you're never going to get to, but also because I don't like the idea that I know I'm not actually owning the thing that I'm buying. I don't like that idea. I'm happy to spend $1 on a book at the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston, but then it's mine. I can mail it out to one of you, as I do with 90% of what I buy these days. That's a subject for another video as well. Or I can just keep it myself, but it's mine, definitely mine. So when I get one of those daily deals and I see maybe a science fiction title from Book Barbarians that looks good but is 99 cents, no, my answer is absolutely no. Just a hard no. I will not buy anything. But if it's free, well, absolutely, you can send it to my Kindle. And if on some moment when I have just finished some mainstream work, I might feel like browsing through my latest gleanings from the ebook site and the free ebook site and finding something that looks halfway interesting. Maybe I'll find an author I really like, someone whose next book I'm willing to buy in print or from their own site without Amazon involved at all. But the main reason that I do that is the farthest that I go in my connection to this whole subject. And the main reason that I do that so willy-nilly is because I literally view it as easy come, easy go. If I'm sending 3 free ebooks to my Kindle every day, well, I didn't know they existed. I had no way to anticipate or really like or want them beforehand. They struck a momentary interest. Might turn out to be good, but I didn't pay anything for them, so I don't care if I don't own them. I'm never going to want to give them to somebody else. I might want to recommend them, but I'm not going to want to give them to somebody else. So the subject doesn't interest me at all. It doesn't affect me. I'm not directly involved. So I was watching all of these videos, looking at the personalities of the people involved, and also reading the comments. And I have to confess, it's the comment section on Ollie's video. Michael K. Vaughan did a video that I read. I lived in the comment section of that video. A lot of other people where I watched the video, sure. The subject is fairly cut and dried, so you're not going to tell me anything new in the video. DRM software, DRM coding on ebooks is common on Amazon, it's common on Kobo, it's common everywhere. Some authors don't like it. Some authors say, no, I'm insisting to the publisher, you put this out into the world without DRM. Some authors believe I am not going to be seriously hurt by piracy, which is allegedly the reason for it. I just want people to own this thing. I want them to have it and be able to do anything they want with it. And of course, there are sites like Project Gutenberg, which offers tens of thousands of copies of books that are in the common domain. God, it's 2 videos today. I'm acting surprised because I don't get sirens anymore in this neighborhood at all. I don't get traffic in this neighborhood anymore. Anyway, there are sites like Project Gutenberg, and there are a bunch of other sites that will offer you books that are in the common domain. They're no longer under copyright. Some of them are very well packaged, and those are yours. You can do anything you want with them. Give them to anybody. No point in selling them because they're free. Anybody can get them for free. I watched those videos to learn about how much people knew about DRM. A lot of people were recommending ditch Amazon completely and go to Kobo. And a lot of people in the comment sections of those videos needed to remind viewers that Kobo does the same thing, or could. You're not buying a book from Kobo any more than you are from Amazon. You're still licensing it. But there was something else that kept cropping up in the comments of those videos, in almost all of those videos, that I saw dozens of comments in every video along the same lines, which has prompted this video. You don't need me to go over, the fact that you don't own the ebooks that you buy from Amazon. You don't need me to go over that. You already know that. You're not actually buying the book, and you're limited in what you can do with it. And that's to say nothing of the nightmares that being locked into the Amazon ecosystem can present to people who are moving overseas, for instance, people who are wanting to manage or control or even bequeath their Amazon library. It's a nightmare. It's something that Amazon should long since have fixed. But Amazon is run by an evil man, and therefore is an evil company. So it's not likely that they're going to fix those things, although they will change them. The changes won't be fixes. The changes will be worse of the same. Like, for instance, as I've said before on this subject, the next change that is obvious that Amazon will do, just have to ask yourself, okay, this was evil. What's the next evil thing they could do? Because they won't do anything good. The next evil thing they could do is just to forbid sideloading. So that this is no longer a device for reading ebooks. It's a device for reading Amazon products, and that's it. And that's all. Right now, that's not true. You can sideload an EPUB or a PDF onto this thing from anywhere. It doesn't have to have been bought from Amazon, but they could change that, and I'm sure they will. There is a way around that, of course, which is to root this device. You could still, if you're in love with this device, just a plain old plastic slate, if you're in love with this as a way to read ebooks, and it doesn't have to be this, it can be ebooks or Kobo or whatever, they could all enact that kind of policy. They could all say, we're not taking downloads. Our devices will not take downloads anymore. With any of these devices, you could root them, which is to strip all the operating system off it and just make it into a device that you can then build up into anything you want it to do. And no one's involved anymore with it at all. And if I did that, if I rooted this device, then I couldn't have those Amazon freebies sent to this device. I'd have to do it. It'd all be me. It'd all be manual. I know a lot of people who do that with this and all sorts of other devices. I have one tech friend who, my God, he's introduced me to a lot of tech. 30 years that I've been listening to his adventures in tech, and he's not a young man anymore, and for decades, his routine first thing to do with any piece of technology that he gets is to root it right down to the floor joists, even though you run the risk that the device will brick on you and you won't be able to do anything with it. He doesn't care, and it's less of a risk. He says that I don't understand the tech myself, but he says the background operating systems are so resilient now that they won't often brick. So that's what he does. Even if he has to open them up with a soldering iron, he will root the device completely. He doesn't want to be anyone's customer. If he buys the chassis, he wants to be able to determine entirely himself what it will do. I don't have to go that far, or I could hand it to him. I could do that. And if Amazon and other companies do that, well, it might be necessary. I don't think so. When Amazon takes that step, as I believe they will, and says, okay, not only can you not offload the books that you've bought onto your computer, but you can't sideload anything either. This is for reading books you buy from us at whatever price we tell you. If Amazon takes that step, well, I can't help but imagine that a competitor will step forward and say, you can do anything you want on our device. We're wide open to it. So you don't need me to elaborate on that, even though I've been doing that for 15 minutes. But I did want to make a response. I won't go on forever, but I wanted to make a response that was mainly a response to the comments that I saw on those videos. A lot of comments. Because a lot of those comments weren't saying, gee, Amazon is slimy. Amazon is slimy. They are run by an evil person. They are run by a fascist. There's no way that can't percolate down. A company is not going to work in opposition to its founders' political principles. It's run by a fascist, an evil person, someone who 50, 60, 70 years from now, histories written outside of the United States will say this man was evil. So I wouldn't have objected if the comment section had been full of comments saying, gee, Amazon is evil, but they weren't. They were full of comments saying that ebooks are evil, that e-reading is evil. Enough of this. This is why I don't do it. I have physical books. I have to store them in the air conditioning unit and in the oven and in the toilet because I've run out of room, but I still only do physical books. I don't do ebooks at all. Way too many people in the comments of those videos were equating Amazon's slimy practices with the idea of e-reading. And I wanted to speak up just briefly in defense of e-reading, in defense of it, because it is a better mousetrap. I have always called it that. And what I mean by that, I'm referring to the old saying was, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. In the 21st century, it turns out that's not true. In the 21st century, in the United States anyway, if you build a better mousetrap, 2/3 of the adult population of the United States will say that mousetraps cause autism. And so you get people who are perfectly willing to throw out the baby with the digital bathwater. Actually, this is the better mousetrap. This is a little slate of plastic. It's extremely durable. It barely ever needs to be charged. It contains 6,000 books. There are 6,000 books on this thing. I have an unlimited ability to call them up, to search for them, to find them. How many hours have I spent in Hyde Cottage wandering around these shelves, wondering where a book is? Not wondering what I've written in the book and which book I've written it in, which also I can just search for on this thing instantly. I don't need to wonder. I can just ask it. But I'm not even talking about that, where a specific annotation is. I'm talking about where the physical book itself is. Where is that book? I don't alphabetize my book collection like so many of you ultra nerds do. So there's no easy way for me to tell. How many times have I said on this channel how I wish I could walk up to a crowded room of books and just call out for the book? Where are you? Brand McMorrin, where are you? And have the book answer me. How many hours of my life would that have saved? Well, I can literally do that with this device. I can simply ask it where a book is. It'll immediately tell me. I can annotate to my heart's content. I could open up a page on even a boring character and open up the space for a note and write a novel of notes. I could write pages and pages of notes. Try doing that on even the most generous margins of a print paper book. It's not possible to do. And then there's the whole idea of a print paper book, which gets frailer as time goes on and whose spine can crack. I just recently was rereading Startide Rising, and the spine of my mass market paperback cracked. And I was reading it that way because I saw somebody on BookTube reading Startide Rising, and they held up that mass market paperback. That's why I did it. And the minute the spine cracked, my first thought was not, as it would have been in decades past, I'd better put some tape on that. Instead, my first thought was, why are we reading that at all? Call up the ebook. The ebook spine doesn't crack. The ebook doesn't have a spine. Just call up the ebook. You didn't buy it from Amazon. They can't take it off your device. It's not beholden to anybody. Also, all of the peripheries that I don't sing the praises of enough. Like, for instance, these things have a built-in dictionary. They have a built-in connection to Wikipedia for things that a mere definition won't cover. You can control the font size for those of you whose eyes are getting a little older. Or maybe just your comfort zone, whether your eyes are old or not. You can control the brightness. These things have a built-in light of their own. No more fiddling with anything like a clip-on light or wondering if you're going to be bothering somebody by leaving a nightstand light on. They have their own light, and you can vary the warmth and comfort of that light. It's just incredible. You can make bookshelves all you want on these things to organize your collection. And if you decide that, for instance, Solomon Kane belongs on the Robert E. Howard shelf, the fantasy shelf, and the Dude Bro shelf, well, you can put it on all three. Can you do that with the one copy you have of this book? No, you can't. You can put it in one collection and one collection only. And so on, and so on, and so on. Of course, for me, the main thing is that if I've got this thing with me, and an e-reader is practically surgically attached to my hand, so I do have it with me, whether it's a Kindle or all the various reading apps on my iPad, where I have iBooks, the Barnes & Noble Nook, and the Amazon Kindle, all with thousands of books on them. Some kind of tablet reading is with me at all times. And that's great. That's fantastic. Now, obviously, I am not selling short the joy of buying books, actual printed dead paper books. I'm not selling short the joy of doing that at all. I love doing that. I do that every week at the Prattle Bookshop. I wouldn't have it any other way, except for one brief time when I would have it another way, which is when I have to lug those books back here. And the irony is not lost on me. In fact, I do it intentionally so that I can savor the irony of every trip that I take to the Prattle Bookshop or the Book Barn with David Murphy or whatever. In every one of those trips, in one easy side pocket of my shoulder bag is an e-reader with thousands of books on it. And that stings especially when I'm on my way back here lugging 50 or 60 pounds of books when, technically speaking, if I didn't love that search, if I didn't love the joy of finding things like that, technically speaking, there's no need for it. My book buying at the Prattle has largely, a little bit unconsciously, shifted towards the things I buy there being things that do not have ebooks. It's largely done that. I have definitely noticed at the Prattle that there are times now, often, when I will find a book and where I would have bought it in the olden days, I don't, because I think, well, no, you have an ebook. Like somebody just recently sent me a mouthwatering picture of a find they had at a bookstore of all the Ellis Peters Brother Cadfael mysteries in that same stained glass type cover design. And I've had that set a couple of times in my life. And if I came across that set of those mass market paperbacks and I noticed that the set was complete and it was in a box on the sidewalk and it was free, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't pick it up. I have the ebooks. There's no reason for me to devote an entire bookshelf to those fragile, molding, yellowing, stiffening, brittling old mass market paperbacks. No reason for me to do that at all. And often that will guide me. Not often enough, because I still buy lots of used books. But despite the fact that the spell of finding and hunting down and using used books has obviously not left me, because every wall here at Hyde Cottage is covered with books except this one. Despite the fact that love has not left me, this is a miracle. E-reading is a miracle. And if this latest story about Amazon has led so many people in the comments section of Mike's video or Ollie's video or whatever to say, oh, to hell with e-reading. Oh, this is why I don't e-read. No, this isn't e-reading. This is one rapacious, evil, fascist company. And the other ebook companies have the potential to be rapacious and fascist. They have the potential to become that. But the basic machinery here is that you get ebooks that it's easy to strip the DRM off an ebook. I'll just say it's easy to do that. There are plenty of tutorials. You're not a criminal to want to do that. If it skirts the copyright laws of your company, okay, well, then you should be careful about that. But that doesn't make you a bad person. If you know that you're never going to abuse those copyright laws, it's easy to remove the DRM from a book that is protected with it. And once you've done that, washed it through Caliber or whatever, it's yours. It's possible that Amazon could reach out and just kill your device, but that book is yours. You could, again, there'd be no reason to sell it, but you could give it to somebody, definitely. And you could read it on any device. And you could have it on your laptop and also on a thumb drive. You could save it. You could build a library that way. These are little technological things that requires a little bit of learning, but if I can do it, you can do it. And it's not impossible. And it's the same kind of allowances and little maneuvers that we all had to do with books anyway, with print and paper books. All sorts of little inconveniences with them as well. You just have to get around it. That's all. You just have to deal with those little inconveniences. E-reading and e-books are a miracle. And I wanted to make just a brief counterpoint to all the people out there who were saying, well, this latest Amazon story proves that e-reading is evil. No, it doesn't. It proves that Amazon is evil. Just my two cents worth in defense of ebooks, in defense of e-reading, because it looks to me like that is the drift that a lot of people are taking with this latest story, which is to blame Amazon, sure, but also to blame e-reading. Well, I'm never going back to e-reading now. After this, I'm just going to get print and paper books. I think that would be a shame. So so there you go. I'm speaking up in defense of ebooks, and of course I want to know what your own reaction to that subject was. You've seen all the videos now. I finally made one of my own, although I'm not actually on that subject, but I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let my beloved ebooks be slurred in such a way. So I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.